Hello, this is Gio. Hey, look what we have here. We're in a girl's bedroom, and this is a closet door. These are kind of like old French type doors, and the girl who owns this bedroom wants a sliding closet door instead. And so we're going to replace these old French doors with these, there's a two-panel sliding door right here. And you can see that these French doors have seen some issues. These kind of are attractive, but they're not very durable, especially for a girl's bedroom that can have some durability issues. And so we want to replace those today. But first we have to take these off, and they're pretty simple. You could just kind of move these little sliding things out and remove that. But we also have to take this metal bracket off. This trim work off, and there's a couple of brackets down here, so we'll go ahead and do that. And when we're done with this project, if you've enjoyed it, please hit that like button at the bottom of the screen, and maybe even consider subscribing to my channel. Okay, so we have unpackaged the doors here, and you can see these are pretty inexpensive doors. I think they retailed for $125, and so you have just this front facing, and then it's just in back. You're not supposed to see this back, but it's basically just unfinished. So you could either paint that later or just keep it like that. You'll never see it. That also comes with a bottom track right here, which has a little piece of particle board there for some reinforcement, and it has a top track like that. And of course you have an instruction manual, some hardware, and 4 top guides that will be attached to the top of the doors. Now this is essentially the most basic door you can purchase. You can buy more elaborate doors, and therefore you might have, your door might have more hardware, more things you have to install, and in that case just refer to your manual. Now I already took off the original door, the hardware, and the molding that was around it. Now the original molding was set like this. Originally I thought I was not going to reuse this molding, but I've changed my mind and I'll show you why. I just placed the door kind of flush to the floor. Actually that's the top of the door, but the bottom actually has tracks, so this is kind of flush. But I just wanted to do this just to kind of show you what's happening on this side. And it is flush on the floor, and when you go up you can see there is a major gap. So I'm going to reinstall this trim piece just to kind of hide this gap. Now there is wheels on the bottom of this that's adjustable that you can see right here, but that will not fully get rid of this gap. And so this trim piece, when I reinstall it, will help hide that major defect. Okay, so now that we reinstalled the trim and put some paint on it, we're ready to install the door. Now installing these doors are pretty easy. The hardest part is just making sure that you have the right size door. Now the first thing you want to do is measure the width from frame to frame. In my case, it was about 72 inches. Then you want to measure the height from floor to top. And in this case, it's about 81 to 81.5 inches. So when you order your door, you want to make sure your width and height measurements match the door's specifications. In this case, this door was specified to be 72 inches wide and 81 inches tall. But it does provide a bit of a fudge room, so it will allow for a space 70 to 73 inches wide, and the height can vary from 80.5 to 81.5 inches tall. So installing the doors are pretty straightforward. You don't need many tools at all. Primarily you need probably a drill so you can drill some pilot holes, and a screwdriver so you can drive the screws. Now for my space, my width was 72 inches, which matched the specifications of the door I matched perfectly, 72 inches. But if my space was 70 inches wide, that would still meet the specifications of the door I ordered, but the parts, this lower track and the upper channel, would be slightly longer than my space, since they come in lengths of 72 inches. And in that case, I would need a miter saw to trim off these parts, and so that'd be one extra tool I would need if your space is actually narrower than the parts you purchased. So again, actually installing these doors are relatively easy. Basically what you want is just screw in the bottom track and screw in the upper channel, which goes up on the side. Now the bottom track essentially allows the wheels of the door, which are right here, and they're adjustable, so this will be lowered when you install the door. Those will ride in this track and basically hold the weight of the door. So nothing's hanging from the top. It's all gravity that's just kind of laying on these tracks and rolling back and forth. Now what the channel does is basically hold the upper part of the door in place. So the upper channel just generally holds it like this, and it basically just lets it glide freely. And you actually have a little glide piece that you'll install so it doesn't wiggle too much. Okay, so perhaps the hardest part about installing these two pieces is making sure you install them in the right location. The upper channels pretty easily. You could just butt that to the edge of your closet, or in my case, the little trim piece that I installed. But the lower piece doesn't go precisely underneath the upper channel, so you're not really centering it like this. And that's because the wheels of the door are not centered either. They're actually right on the back edge of the door, with most of the door in front of the wheels. So if you would center this track in the middle of this channel here, the door would essentially be too far and would essentially extend beyond this lip here. So you need to back this away so the back of the wheel is kind of against these back side plates here, so the door can fit in this channel completely and slide back and forth. And so your instructions should account for this. And in this case, let's see, the brand door I have is the Colonial, which is here. And then it shows the model, and then the offset. Now it shows how to measure the offset here. It's basically from the edge of your closet to this side rim right here. So from the edge of your closet to this little piece right here. And in my case, the offset is 1.5 inches. So let's just assume for argument's sake that this is the edge of the closet, or in my case, the molding piece that I installed. So I don't want the door past this point here. So I'm going to measure 1.5 inches. So that's 1.5 inches. So from there to there is 1.5 inches. And if you notice, it basically matches the center plate here, and this one matches the back plate. So since the wheels are essentially on the back side of the door, that makes sense. Most of the door just will slide back and forth here, and the wheels will be on the back of the door. So there'll be plenty of room for it to move. So the first thing I'm going to do is just install the upper channel, and so I'm going to stick that up here. So first I'm just going to mark the holes with a little pencil so I could drill some pilot holes. And then drill your pilot holes. Okay, now for the lower track, you do have a little particle board underneath for support. And you want to keep that in there. And again, we got to measure 1.5 inches back from the edge of our closet. In this case, for me, it's this trim piece. For you, it's probably the edge of the actual closet. So from this line here, I'm going to make sure that this side is 1.5 inches. And then I'm just going to take my pencil and actually mark both sides of this right here, because I'm going to take this off and leave the particle board. And I'm doing this on the other side as well. So I did fail to say that you will need a hammer because you need to secure this particle board. And I'm just going to center it between those two lines. I'm giving 5 nails here. And I'm just going to drive one here and drive one on the other side and then drive the other ones periodically down the strip. And now you can reinsert your track here over your particle board. And you are given some screws so you can screw in your track right into your particle board. Okay, so now that we installed our track, I just sort of propped up one of the doors on a board like this because I want to lower this wheel so it's right below the bottom of the door. And you can just do that with a screwdriver, if I can do this with one hand. Actually, I may need 2 hands. Okay, so that should work very well. At least for starters, I could readjust it after I get the door up. Now before I can install the door, I have to put these little top glides on. This is the top of the door, and so they just kind of get inserted right here. If I can do this with one hand. And they just snap in like that. And there's 2 of them on each door. And now it's time to install the door. Now you want to install the back door first. You sort of tilt it forward. Get it into that back channel. Make sure the glides fit in nicely. And then you bring it in and try to get the wheels in the back track. And then you just make sure it can slide easily all the way through its entire motion. And now you can kind of see the issue with this door frame. When it's against the frame on the bottom, it is not level on the top. The little trim piece helps hide it a little bit, especially if it was the front door. But you can do a little bit of adjustment with the wheel screws. Now on the other side, it seems to be flush on top and a little bit farther away on the bottom. So it actually may be the floor that's not level and not the frame, but we could maybe adjust a little bit by adjusting the screw on this side a little higher up and the one down on that one a little lower down. So I'll try that adjustment before I stick in the next door. And there you have it. I adjusted it pretty well. So it's pretty much flush on that side and it's pretty much flush on this side. So those adjustment screws really help out a lot. So I'm going to do the same thing with the front door. And there you have it, the end result. Very nice. They work very well. So I hope this video helped you out, and if you enjoyed it, please hit that like button below the screen and maybe even consider subscribing to my channel. I'm going to have lots of videos to come. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.